Whoa, where are we at? Hello, everybody. No, just playing. Hey, Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuits. I just threw my hot glue gun on the ground. Let me pick it right back up. All right. Had an interesting comment with some questions slash inspiration in it. Somebody asked, what would you start out if you could go back and give yourself some advice? I would get every board game that comes with miniatures every time they went on discount after they fell out of favor. Every time. I would have done a lot of Kickstarters that I ignored. I would have started Dungeon Swag probably 3 years before we did. Maybe 3.5 years before we did. I would have started this YouTube channel and stuck with it 10 years before I did. I would have never started drinking again. But when it comes to crafting advice, this is from one board game. I don't even know which one this is. Wizards of the Coast game of some sort. And all this is the same material that a game board is. Let me see if I have a game board section laying around. I don't. But this is the same. These cards that Wizards gives you are the same material that game boards are made out of. So you could cut a checkerboard from the Goodwill or anything to get this. I'm going to use this one piece, and I'm going to get 3 separate pieces of starter terrain out of it. This is going to be the basis. So the first, we're going to make 3 different things. We're going to make a fence. We're going to make some hedges or bushes, and then we're going to make a rock formation. So all you need first is a good material to use as your base. I'm using this game board slice. 1. And then I told you we're going to do a hedge and a rock formation on the same piece, and we are. Okay. This one's going to be for our hedge. I'm going to cut some of that off. Okay. Now, you don't want your edges of your terrain to be perfectly square. So if you have a decent pair of scissors that'll cut, or even an older pair that you don't care if you just destroy the edges of them, whatever kind of scissors you're willing to sacrifice for this kind of work, all I'm doing is just rounding those off irregularly. I'm not doing it in any specific manner that makes it perfect. I really just want these to look a little less like rectangles. On this one for the rock formation, I'm going to go at next level. I'm going to cut in a little bit and make sure this really is a little more interesting than it was. Okay. Now you can bevel the edges if you want. That can look nice in your final product. To bevel edges, same thing, just use a crappy knife. Get in there. Dig it out some. Completely optional. I don't do this all the time. It really just depends on my mood. But beveling edges is a cool technique to make it look a little more natural on your terrain. But the problem is you don't want to go too much in detail because it's like theater. Like if you go to a play, they're not using the real world to do plays in. They set up a stage to embellish and tell a story. Embellishment is a big part of it, you know. This whole, you know, D&D is a stage. Your characters are actors playing a part with no script. The only script they might have is some backstory or some information that you've given them that they're going to act on. It's like maybe they read the play 20 years ago and they don't remember any of the lines, and they're just going to make a new character to be in the play. Especially the players that you have over and over and over again are going to be more like that. New players can be rough. I have a new player who's doing exceptionally well. He's really fitting in. He's not really so much playing the role as trying to flesh out how his character acts, which I'm okay with. And all this sweet garbage I'm going to toss. I used to keep all this kind of junk. I learned that you're going to have so much you can never keep it all. All right, so let's start with a low wall. The most reasonable resource to make bricks, but this creates other steps you have to do, is dollar store foam. So a dollar store foam brick works like this. Dollar store foam has easily peelable paper on both sides, okay? See that? You want to make bricks out of this. You figure out how big you want your bricks to be. You cut a strip. You regularly chop these up, okay? And you can free build with them. You pull the paper off, both sides. You smash them up a little bit. You can put them in a coffee can with rocks or whatever you want to do, but you get some texture on them. If you're really motivated, you could do that with a piece of tin foil. But anyways, that's your most basic one. Now, if you want to get out a little bit fancier and make something that has one last step, something like this is ideal. This is like a foam building block, and one piece of this will last you for 1,000,000 projects. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get all my foam bricks off of this. I'm going to get a bigger knife. I'm going to cut a thin sheet like that. I'm going to cut into strips. Just like that. And then this removes a step. The step we're talking about is called decoupaging. You're putting Mod Podge, maybe Mod Podge mixed with glue, or Mod Podge mixed with paint, or some combination of those things together to create a coating that won't melt. The foam won't melt under it. The Dollar Tree foam will melt. This won't. I'm just going to use scissors. These don't have to be perfect. I just want these to be bricks that'll work for a hastily built wall. Another thing you want to learn is not to spend all day making stuff. Learn some techniques that you like. And I'm not saying don't try new techniques, but learn some techniques that you like so you can get stuff pumped out quickly. And if you don't like it, you can throw it away. Don't spend a lot of money. Don't spend a lot of time. Build stuff to tell the story for what you need it for. And if you like it enough, keep it. So here we go. This is a pretty good setup here. So this stuff's easy to handle. The best thing to do is to glue it to something so you can not be holding the train you're working on. So I use spray paint lids. They're really convenient, and I have arthritis, so I can hold them easy. And to put this on here, I'm just going to get a little strip of glue across there like that. I'm going to get that in place. I'm going to rough this up to make sure I get real good bond, because I want dirt. Now, there's tons of things you can do for your dirt. The easiest thing is to go outside and get some real dirt and use PVA glue or super glue, whatever you're going to use. The chunks might be a little big unless you throw it in a mortar and pestle, but that's really up to you. You don't need to prep it that much. I was just talking while I was doing that. The next thing is what I like is baking soda, because it makes a solid base, like a rock. So what you do is you get yourself some super glue, and you kind of spread it where you want it to go. And having a little piece of cardstock to rip up to spread it around is really great. Let me look at my trash. Figures. Alright, I didn't have a little piece of cardstock. I'm just going to use, I don't know what I'm going to use. This is just a small piece of cardboard. It'll do the same job. And I just want to spread this around. Kind of get it everywhere on the base where I want rock to stick. Just like that. And it doesn't have to be even or perfect. Different thicknesses will work nicely. Then you want to get over here and get your baking soda on it. Just like that. Too easy. And you have a trainy looking surface. Now, lighters are good and blowtorches are good for cleaning up loose fuzz from your cuts, but they're not necessary. You can come back and snip all that off with a razor, or you can just ignore it, or you can let it just be absorbed into the paint job. So now we have a good thing to build our fence on. I'm going to start with my fence, my bottom layer of my fence. I'm going to get some of the bigger bricks that we had. Line of sight terrain is what we're building, by the way. Line of sight terrain is one of the best types of terrain to engage in, because anything can be line of sight, and line of sight pieces add different layers and different obstacles to your battle. Whether you make line of sight pieces that people can stand on or that they can't stand on. They're going to add a whole new dimension to your battlefield, and they're going to change the rules of combat. The rules of the ROE is going to be altered heavily by this kind of stuff. So we have one layer of wall there, and this is perfect because 5 or 6 pieces like this can show the border of a property or anything. The uses are endless. You can use this to simulate anything. This is where the edge of the town wall is. This is where this guy's yard ends. This is a wall inside of a dungeon that's blocking a pathway. This can be almost anything. And the older you want the wall to look, the just less effort you put into it. If it looks like it's been recently built, everything's going to be kind of even and good, right? Now, because I used so much glue and I wasn't careful because I was rushing, we learned a valuable lesson here. We have to come back now and kind of deal with that. And how we're going to deal with that is we're going to heat it up and just let it spill down like mortar that was hastily thrown on here. And then we're going to rough these bricks up a little bit with this heat so they have a little bit of texture. Nothing spectacular. All right, we're going to set this here and take a look at it real quick. We had some crap here, too much glue. I'm just going to get a little of my foam there, and I'm going to slide this around. Here we go. And I'm going to grab that, push it down, grab the excess, rub it around. Then I'm going to let that cool, and I'm going to come back and hit it with the gun again and level it back out. That's going to get rid of my spider webs and make my bricks a little uglier. Okay, so we'll come back and paint stuff at the end, and we'll do some more detail work before we paint it. So there you go. Really easy, low impact, super good barrier walls. You can make tons of those really quickly. Let's do our bush next. So bushes are interesting. Let's start with a lesson we learned. And get a paint lid. And let's throw a little bit of glue on it. Let's put that on there. Get a little bit of this. Piece of cardboard. Spread it around as good as we can. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be even. We just want to get it everywhere we want sand to stick for the best part we can. The best, you know. But we don't want to kill ourselves in the process. Now, this is a cool thing we're going to do. We're going to make our bushes super fucking cheap. So we don't want to put any bushes on the base right now. We're going to do that last. So it's going to save us some paint job steps. So here's what we are going to do, though. Oh, I lost the paint lid. Hold on. It's gone. It's down over the side. I'm not going after it. My back hurts. I'm old. These are small stones from the Dollar Tree. Somebody bought me some, and then I was getting low, and I went and bought more. And then these are, I guess, from the Dollar Tree, too, and I don't remember where I got them, but somebody told me on a comment or somewhere that those are from Dollar Tree. So they must be from Dollar Tree. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of these bigger rocks to add some weight to my base. I'm going to find the flattest spot where it looks like it's going to sit flush. I'm going to get a little bit of my glue. Let it run down the sides onto the base and let it go underneath. And it's going to give it a good bond when it solidifies, okay? In theory. Let's get another one on here to make this a little more interesting. Find the flattest spot of connection. Okay. Now, if you're worried that the connection is not going to dry good, another thing you can do is you can come back with that baking soda and just throw a little bit down in the cracks. And that'll make it sturdier. And we're going to come back to that piece, so let's put it up here to dry with the other one. And we said the last piece we were going to do is a rock formation. So we get our base for the rock formation. Easiest thing to use is foam. The white foam that you get in packaging is good. The pink foam or the blue foam that you get for insulation for walls is good. Any foam you can make work. The best, my favorite and best one is the pink packaging or the pink wall foam. But either of these will work. This is just white foam, and this is the pink foam that I was talking about. This, you know, insulation for walls. So let's. I have an electric foam cutter, but we're not going to use it for this. We're just going to get a piece of this that we can work with, and we're going to kind of flesh out a shape and make sure it's going to fit on our base. And any kind of cracks, like this one got run over by a truck at work, and it was getting thrown away. And I just kind of took it in chunks over time instead of throwing it out. So we get a kind of rough shape we want our rock to be. I'm going to go ahead and glue mine directly to my base. Okay. And a spot I like. I'm going to let that settle for a minute. I'm going to keep these pieces off to the side. And I'm going to do a little bit of crappy cutting work here. And I'm just cutting in and popping out. I'm just getting rid of good, nice, clean edges. Like that. That's going to give some more dimension and a cool little... And you could even make this to where a miniature could stand on top, okay? That's easy enough, just kind of... And then how's this guy getting up there? Well, we didn't really leave a good way for him to get up. I need to make a better cut there so it's a little flatter on top. We don't want miniatures in peril, especially ones that we painted ourselves. So what we're going to do is we're just going to cut a little bit of this out. Give the illusion that there's some edge there. Then I'm just going to beat this up a little bit. I'm going to make a cool crack in this. So to make my cool crack, I'm just going to get a sharp edge. You can use a knife, or if you have any kind of tools. I have this thing I like to use. It's like a clay shaping tool. And I'm going to use that. I'm going to kind of push that down. I'm going to pluck out any stuff I don't like. And I'm going to let that crack kind of bust naturally and grossly. See how those cracked in and out? I'm going to smear those in so it looks like it's been bashed. Just like that. Okay. I'm pretty happy with the way my rock looks. I'm not real happy with the sides here. I'm going to chew those up a little bit. Now, we can't paint this yet, but here's what we can do. We can do our... get it on a bottle or a spray paint lid. Hold on, let me free one. Sorry, I was making donkeys like a year ago and I never finished them. So I'm going to get this on here. A little bit of glue. Plop that down on there. A little bit of stupid glue. I'm going to come around my outside here with my stupid glue. On these bigger pieces, sometimes it's better to just use PVA and sawdust, but I'm not doing that today because I have this set up. I'm going to get my piece of cardboard, rub it around, get it right up against the model where the gaps are underneath, make it good, and like that. I'm going to get my baking soda. Okay, pretty happy with my rock for the most part. This side's a little straight for me. I'm just going to rip that up a little bit like this. I'm going to get a brush, a wire brush or a toothbrush or whatever I can find. First thing I grabbed was a toothbrush. I'm going to push that in and kind of work that around that corner. And that's going to look more like striations. Now, if you get something like this and dig into some of those and make them a little deeper, it becomes a little more convincing. So you would normally do a whole rock this way. I'm just doing different things. So here's the natural ripped. Here's some kind of smoothest natural rock. I'm going to be rubbing something on there. This is a fracture that I just left in place. This is a little shelf I've made. And then back here is some kind of striations. All right, we're going to do a couple little things. We're going to throw a couple more rocks on this base to make it interesting. And we're just going to get some small ones that kind of break up the flat of this side, right? And we're going to put one over here. We're going to put one over here. Okay, over here is because I missed now we need to do the extra step on this one. Remember I told you about the styrofoam melting. So we're going to let that sit off to the side. We're going to come back to project number 1. Project number 1 is pretty much done. It's going to look okay. It's going to do what we want it to. So what you want to do is hit it with a base coat of something. My go-to is this. I've used other products too, but this is the one I just kind of go to because it's by, you know, I can get it in my town at my Walmart like 10, 12 minutes from the house. The delivery service won't bring it to me yet, though. You got to go get it. So if you're lazy and trying to order groceries and presents, you can't get it. Okay, just like that. Same thing with this rock, or that bush. Just like that. No, it doesn't look like much like a bush yet. Now this one takes some prep, but not an enormous amount of prep, just some prep. So what I'm going to do is I have a cup here that I use for this mixing crap, and it's just a big paint lid, really. I'm going to get this cup. I'm going to squirt a little bit of Mod Podge in it if I can find some. Okay, I have some Mod Podge here. It's not a whole lot. Thank God we don't need a whole lot. I'm going to steal a little bit of my paint, dirty ass paint water for it. Break it up. Once Mod Podge dries, you can spray it with water and it won't. Okay. You can put dye in that or paint in that or anything you can to see what color it is, or make it be a base coat color you want. I'm going to put a little bit of Dollar Tree black in it. This is just called acrylology. I don't know how it's pronounced. Acrylology, so whatever. I'm going to put a little dab of that in there. I'm going to get a crappy brush. I'm going to stir this up. You could put a little PB in there if you wanted to give it some more. It's like it's less flexible with the PBA, but I just don't feel like it gives the same coating with the PBA. But it's like sturdier. I don't know how to explain it. It's like it has less give. This is very rubbery unless you have it against something solid. I'm trying to really get in here into these cracks in the bottom because I do not want my rock to melt. Okay? The big thing is we want to protect the pink. Wow, that sounds like some kind of weird 80s college coming of age rite of passage movie. Oh, see that? I did not get that glued down well, and now we're suffering the consequences of that. That's okay. We'll figure it out. All right. Sick. Okay. Once you're confident you've got all the pink covered that you can, wipe the excess crap off your brush. All three of these are going to need an air dry. You know what? We're not even going to spray paint this one. Let's just go all the way with the Mod Podge in black. You can't leave anything unpainted if you don't use the spray, though. So you got to make sure you really get in here, get all that blackened up. Nothing can be exposed, okay? Sweet. Set that off to the side. Let's just do a little snatch and grab on my garbage. And like I said, I used to keep every little piece, but one day you're going to have boxes of little pieces that you can't sort. Maybe when you're first starting out, keep... Oh, shit. Maybe when you're first starting out, keep that kind of stuff. But over time, you're not going to want to, okay? We don't need our tools anymore at the moment. I'm going to clear some of those out too. All right, where are we at? About 20 minutes, 25 minutes maybe? Blow my excess through all the cracks that I can. You're not going to want to use a hairdryer when you do a lot of this stuff, by the way. I'm using a hairdryer because I don't edit videos. I make it all real time. So we're going to have some negative effects from using a hairdryer. All right, so because I did not do a good job shaking up my paint from my rattle can that I just opened, I'm going to come back over this and get this a little better with the Mod Podge. Just like that. I had some weird excess moisture spots on this because I didn't shake that spray paint up. I'm just going to get in here and rub that moisture spot in with this because I know it'll dry quickly because it's got some water in it. And then we're just going to clean those back up. We're going to hit this with air again. All right. Get yourself a piece of cardboard. To use as a palette. First thing I want to do is get my favorite color in the entire world. It comes from Walmart. It's called Pavement. Get some pavement. Get a crappy brush. Any crappy brush will do. Get in here and roughly hit your stone bits on your things that are made out of stone. Just like that. It's wet. It's cheap. Hit stone stuff, okay? We got a stone wall here. Black's a little bit dry still, that's okay. Or a little bit wet still, that's okay. Blend it in, you're going to get some different looking bricks, that's all. Okay? And we got a couple little rocks on here. Next thing we're going to do, we're not even going to clean that brush out. We're going to get a dark brown color. I use burnt umber from Walmart. Usually, except for on Western stuff. Burnt umbers are like a dark brown. And you can buy it in this big container. It's cheaper that way. Taking that same brush. Hitting surface the best I can. I'm not getting everywhere. It's not perfect. I'm hitting it on the rocks that I painted gray. On these ones, it's a little easier. I can just kind of drag it along the bottom. Like that. And I'm going to dab it around a little bit. So this is different colors. We want the majority of the brown on the ground though. This one's the same thing. Try not to hit the rocks particularly, but if it gets on the rocks, we're going to come back and try to blend that the best we can. Make sure you leave some of that gray wet. You'll hit it and you'll get some of the looks that make this kind of unique and different, okay? Don't be afraid to come up here and dab this around. Give this rock some variation. We're using the same brush. We're not cleaning it out, but let's set it off to the side. Hot air gun. Next step, get a medium brown, same brush. We're not washing it out. We're being more careful this time, however. For my medium brown, I'm using something called melted chocolate. It's pretty wet. I don't want it to be this wet, but that's how wet it is. It's right there. I'm going to get my melted chocolate. I'm going to dab it around with my cheapy brush and just create some different colors of terrain. Trying not to get much of this on the rock if I can help it. I am going to come up here though on some of this higher area and dab that up. Same thing, bringing it around the edge, creating some different colors on my dirt area, and we're happy. Same thing here, get the last of my light brown, create some different color on my terrain, we're happy. All right, same brush. Wipe a lot of that crap out, come back over here, get your new cardboard, get you some medium gray. I'm using pewter gray. Doesn't matter if everything's dry or not. A little bit of pewter gray, it's kind of wet. I'm gonna mix it in my brush with that brown that's left over and get this kind of neutral brownish gray color. I'm gonna tap my rocks in some spots like that. And I might dab my base in a couple little spots too. I'm gonna hit my bricks just right, like lightly, kind of pulling upward, catching the top parts more than the bottom parts. Then I'm gonna dab along the top flat surfaces. Then I'm gonna dab around the outside and give it a little bit of color change. Same thing. Looks very insignificant right now. Same thing on this. Dabbing my rocks. I grabbed a little extra brown on that from the base that was wet. Okay. Don't need this brush anymore. Still need your cardboard. Set that one on top of that one. Drop the brush. We're going to get another crappy brush and we're going to finish up the painting with the next step. All right, let's get exciting here. We're going to go much, much, much lighter. I'm going to get a color called Elephant Gray, yet another Walmart paint. I'm going to get a tiny splap of that. I'm going to get a really soft makeup brush, something like this. I'm going to barely touch it. Oh, you can't see it. Barely touch it. I'm going to wipe most of that off my brush to where it's barely coming on my cardboard. See that? I'm going to start with my wall. I'll lighten my wall up with it significantly. Trying not to hit the base where I can't, where I can help it. Okay, if you get a little bit down there, it won't kill you, but you don't want to get too much. There's my wall, my little rocks here. Lighten those up. So this is this aesthetic I call fantasy realism. So we know that rocks aren't like this weird two-tone gray in nature, but on terrain, as long as it's all consistent, it seems to fool people and look good. I got way too much paint on my brush rushing, so that just means I have this extra little bit of dumb shit I got to do to clean this up and lighten this up again. So I'm grabbing my rock. I don't care if I catch some wet because it's nice to have some extra tones as I'm pulling this across and lightening it up. And as you can see, depending on how hard I press and how much wet is on my brush. See, I'm not like a talented artist. I'm just a dude like you guys, or dudette. I'm not a dudette though, but you know, you guys are just like me. I'm not an artist. I'm just a dude throwing shit together. Starting to look good. Starting to look decent. Let's get rid of that brush. Let's get rid of brushes altogether and get either a toothpick or, if you're fancy, one of these bad boys. This is a disposable plastic brush. I don't always dispose of them. I'm going to get some clear glue. This is Dollar Tree brand Jot. I'm going to squirt it here onto this cardboard. It's a little thick and nasty because it's wintertime. And I'm going to get my Jot. And I'm going to paint areas that I want to be green around on my bases. Different thicknesses of this will dictate how much of the greenery sticks and how prevalent it is. You can use one type of store-bought flock, or you can make your own flock with sawdust. I think I have some videos on that if I'm not mistaken. If not, my friend Daryl was supposed to get me some sawdust and he didn't. We'll blame him. I don't get a lot of small grain sawdust in chemistry, so I don't have. So once you get your stuff where you want it, don't forget there's going to be a bush on this one. You really want to focus on these wall joints where the glue is bad and hide that the best you can. So thicker glue down here where the glue is all bound up like that. Okay. Cool. We're going to set this off to the side. I'm going to use homemade flock like I said. I have a couple different colors of this. I have brown, light green, dark green. I'm going to use this green right here. And all I'm going to do is sprinkle that in above this containment so I can keep it, get it on all the cracks, shake it off, blow it off once. Okay, and some of you don't have this. I just realized that, so we're going to take this, set it off to the side. We're going to get this lid here, and we're going to set it down. And we're going to grab this dill weed. We're going to sprinkle dill weed from Ollie's, where you can get garbage stuff cheap. Not that cheap anymore. So I've just used dill weed there. I'm shaking off the extra, taking it off the side and blowing it off. And guess what? It smells a little different, but it's not a whole different than my homemade flock, is it? Oh man, but you know what? You might not have dill weed. I wasn't thinking, might not have dill weed. Okay, no problem, no problem. Everyone goes to Dollar Tree. Everyone has Italian seasoning. So on this one, we're going to get some Italian seasoning. I actually think I poured some sawdust in this, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it looks like there's some sawdust and Italian seasoning in there. I'm just going to take that and save it for later. Okay. So you can see, depending on what you throw in this, you can make some different types of colors. We still haven't done our bushes yet, by the way. We're going to lighten these up one more time with that elephant gray that I said we were done with. I just want these to be a little bit lighter. I'm a shit-ass liar. You can blame me for that for the rest of your life. I'm looking for a really soft makeup brush that's clean. I got one. Get a tiny bit of that. Get a lot of it off. I'm going to come up. Just kind of pick some of these areas up a little better. Just hitting the highest spots so they pop a little nicer. That's all I'm doing. Okay. Sweet. Now, are we done? No. Okay. Bushes. At the Dollar Tree or any craft store, in the floral section, you will find floral moss. Floral moss is an absolutely amazing foliage maker for trees, bushes, what have you. So I want a decent sized bush in here. I'm going to get some glue like that. I'm going to get a couple clumps of this. I'm going to find the thickest parts. I'm going to bunch those together like this. I'm going to snip that off a little bit. Any crazies? So it's all kind of one height. And I'm going to shove that around in the glue. Twist it and push it down. I'm going to hold this together like this. Okay. And this isn't going to look like any tree or bush you've ever seen. But on the table, it's going to look like a damn bush. I'm going to come and snip off some of the loose shit that I don't like the way it looks. Just like that. So it looks less like broccoli. I'm going to call that a win right there like that. Now, there's other cool flocks too that you can get like from Michael's and stuff or Joann's. Like this one's a little more spongy and it's a little more dingy. This would look nice right over here in this little corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold that in half. I'm going to get a little bit of glue on it like that. And I'm going to shove it down in here so it sticks. And then that's got some green foliage on it. It's a little more interesting now. I'm going to clean this stuff up. I'm just throwing it right back in here. Let's see what else we got down here. Nothing down there. I can't see. Uh-oh. Flying flock. Damn it, Batman. Oh, over here. Here's some of that same stuff, but it's red. Don't spend a whole bunch of money on this stuff, but it's cool to have. Here's red. I just want to add a little bit of weird color to my bush, to my wall piece. I'm just going to come over here, get a little bit of this, and I'm going to shove it in the corner and push it down and add a little piece of color there. Nothing too fancy. All right, what else can we do? Well, if you have any really fine flock, you can get super fancy. This is train, like HO scale train flock by a company called Woodland Scenics. And you can get a little bit of glue and a brush, and you can add moss to stuff with fine flock like this. So let's put a little bit of moss up here, like that. And we're just going to sprinkle it real lightly with our fingers. Nothing too fancy. Knock that excess off and get some moss like that. Get a little bit more of our glue. We have this weird crack thing up here. Let's kind of break up this flat, boring area a little bit with some moss. So I'm doing a real thin layer of the glue. And this is all stuff that, you know, like this bag is like 15 years old or longer. Maybe 10 years, actually, I don't know. But this bag of stuff, I just put in a plastic thing. I've had it forever. Okay, now there's one more thing you can do. If you don't have this and you still want to have mossy looks on things like that, you're not done. There's some cheap things you can do. Grab your cardboard. There's a color of paint at Walmart called English Ivy. And mine's pretty wet, I think, or empty. Okay, there's a little bit there. We're going to make that work. We're going to get a tiny brush, something cheapy and crappy. I have one where the tip needs reconditioned. It might be permanently ruined. I'm going to get a little bit of paint water. I'm going to get a little bit of that green paint. And I'm going to come over here, and I'm just going to dab it in areas. And wherever the deeper spots where it settles, it'll look darker. It'll be thinner as it moves out from there. And it looks like a very good natural moss sometimes. And sometimes it looks like dog shit. It really just depends on the day and how you pulled it off or didn't pull it off. So you can kind of really make the world look old, like shit's growing on everything. This is really good in sewers or in old dungeons where they're like in the forest. This is a great application for those kind of places. You don't like the way your mortar looks there, which is just hot glue. Maybe throw a little bit out on there. Okay. So these are really good line of sight pieces, and one of them even gives us some elevation. When I say line of sight, there's two types of line of sight in combat. And this is not just D&D. You have cover and concealment. Concealment just stops you from seeing something. Cover physically is a barrier that blocks something. These are good pieces for, this would be concealment. You can shoot through a bush, right? This would be cover. It blocks bullets. This would be cover. It blocks bullets. These bushes here would be concealment, okay? A bunch of thin trees would be concealment, but a bunch of thick trees could be cover, all right? So we're going to hit this with some hot air. Now, if you're going to clear coat these, my go-to is the same brand, and I get this matte clear. If I'm doing robotics things and stuff like that, I might use like a semi-gloss or something. I have a couple different ones, but generally that's my go-to for everything. And if I'm doing something I really want shiny specifically on one part of something, I use clear Mod Podge, or gloss Mod Podge. So anyways, this has been about, I was thinking this was going to take about an hour, but it didn't. I do long-form videos often. I don't care what the algorithm says. You can't learn anything unless you take time and learn it, So I enjoy this. These are going to sit for about an hour, maybe longer, in front of my fan. It's chilly down here, so it might not be quick. Then I'll probably clear coat them, or I won't. But as soon as they're dry, I'll take them upstairs, and they'll be ready for play if I want them. Now, I'm doing a futuristic campaign right now where I didn't need these, but I wanted to teach them to you. Here's a standard Wizards of the Coast mini. I think it's Wizards of the Coast. Yeah, WizKids NECA. So this guy's named Damiel the Elf Chemist, and on my table he was known as Hamilton until he tragically died. He was an NPC that my wife was going to marry. And if you look at Hamilton next to this terrain, you can see that simply by ducking down at the end of his turn, he's going to get 100% cover from that. He's going to get 75% cover just standing here like this. With this wall that was simple to make, he's got a good 50% cover. He can crouch down and get 75, or he can get all the way down on his hands and knees and get 100% cover, lay down and get 100% cover. And he's going to get a bonus to hide checks here, but he's not going to get anything serious in the way cover unless he's laying prone and trying to utilize these rocks. Don't forget, your characters don't lay in one square and never move. They crawl around, they readjust, they get situated. Unless they roll a 20 stealth check or a ridiculously high stealth check, they are not like a dead silent ghost, okay? To be a sniper and laying the prone for an extended period of time is very, very difficult. Your body gets sore very quickly. If you're holding a crossbow, especially one's heavier, that's like heavier than an M16 or something, laying in that position, or the M24 or whatever, it would become ridiculously difficult until many levels into the game where you were so conditioned that you were just used to it. Your elbows would be all tore up all the time. Your knees would be tore up. You'd always be getting bit by bugs and stuff. People that think they can hide all day are stupid. Anyways, that's a whole nother video. Don't know why I'm talking about it. My name is Doom. This has been Dungeons and Doom Biscuit. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon. Share with your friends. Leave comments, all the happy crappy that helps the channel grow, and check us out, www.dungeon-swag.com, for all your mini needs. We don't have all your needs, we just sell fantasy minis. I don't know why I said that. See you next time.